Shalom Israel. First, I'm going to start by giving all honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Ekakwadash. Double honors into the elders, apostles, and bishops, the GMS Great Millstone, who rule well, teach and edify, and peace and blessings into you, sincere Akim and Aquat in his household of faith. My name is Ashaya from the GMS Arizona Church, and Adawan Ratazak, going to make an edifying video going into this post. One of the elders put up on the YouTube post. It was black woman's viral post about preferring white men reemerges after her white boyfriend tragically murders her, then sets himself on fire. That's crazy. And that's a mouthful of madness right there. These you Jake women out there, just like anybody. You want to trust in these Edomites. Edomites are all estranged from the womb. They're all fucked up the second they come out. Okay, Edomites are always going to be fucked up in the head. Okay, some just hide it better than others. All right, but you're going to see the seed of Esau, Edom, coming out a lot more. Okay, and that's even, dealing with Edomite women. All right, they're pretty nice. They're pretty nice, but you also at the same time you never trust an Edomite, man. You never do. Okay, through the spirit, they always got some fucking shit up their sleeve. Okay, they come from a very wicked and evil and corrupt seed, all right, ever since the beginning. So you definitely don't want to trust them. This is Sirach 12:10, or Ecclesiasticus 12 and verse 10, and that reads, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." All right, it says, "Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, that thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away." All right, because even then, these Edomites, man, they have a cloak, like the scriptures talk about a cloak of covetousness. All right, they hide. They're able to hide a lot of the ways that they truly are. So you Jacob and are looking at these Edomites, and they like, oh, they have the money, they have a car, they're able to take care of things, and they seem more proper. You watch TV shows, you see them on movies, they're pretty cool. You think you're finna get you a little Paul Walker, All right, you're gonna understand pretty soon what the seed of Esau entails. All right, he's a very destructive, a very hateful, and a very violent man. Okay, so you Jake woman out there. Okay, you want to sit there and get you a Edomite man and hold on to him. All right, you're gonna see the price you're gonna have to pay for that shit sooner or later. Okay, and just for this person right here, talking about he murders her and then sets himself on fire. That's some fucked up shit. That's some crazy demons. All right, you women out there chiefly need to get yourself a man of the Lord. Okay, because it's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai that controls at the right and that left hand side. Whether a demon be able to try to hop up on a person like that. Men of the Lord humble themselves from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. The demons even know the men of the Lord. All right, so I know Yahushai, I know Paul, but who are you? All right, she gonna look at, I bet that demon looked at her husband, was like, I don't know this motherfucking, started going crazy. But hey, let's get into some of these precepts of Genesis, starting at the 4th chapter, just getting into a little bit of Cain and Abel, because Esau, Edom, right, is of the seed of Cain. All right, it says, we'll start at the verse 4. So we'll start at verse 3, and we're going to get this actually in the GNT or GNB. And that reads, verse 3. It says, after some time Cain brought some of his harvest and gave it an offering unto the Lord Yahweh. Then Abel brought the first lamb born to one of his sheep, killed it, and gave the best part of it as an offering to the Lord Yahweh, and was well pleased with Abel in his offering. But he rejected Cain in his offering. Cain became furious and scowled in anger. What does Esau do? They do something, like they get mad when things don't go their way, even though they didn't even do the right thing. It says, then the Lord said, unto Cain, why art thou angry? Why thou scowl at your face? It says, you have done the right thing. If you have done the right thing, you will be smiling. But because you've done evil, sin is crouching at your door. It wants to rule you, but you must overcome it. Then Cain said to his brother, let's go out to the fields. And look, he did the wrong thing, and he was pissed off about it. And it says, if you it says sin is crouching at your door. It wants to rule you, but you must overcome it. And then look what he decides to do. It says, then Cain said to his brother, let's go out to the field. They were out in the fields. Cain turned on his brother and killed him. And the Lord asked Cain, where is your brother Abel? He answered, I don't know. Am I supposed to take care of my brother? And Lord Yahweh said, why? And that just proves to show you also that they're just naturally wicked. They're naturally fucked up in the head like that. It says the Lord Yahweh said, why have you done this terrible thing? Your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground like a voice calling for revenge. It says you have placed under a curse. You are placed under a curse and can no longer farm the soil. It has soaked up your brother's blood as it had opened its mouth to receive when you killed him. All right, so ultimately, man, that's the way they handle situations. All right, you Jake women gonna get in an argument with your Edomite husband because he did some weirdo shit, because they're fucking weird, okay? A lot of them is moles too, and they're fucking weirdos. And then you gonna get mad at them, and you Jake women are fucking loud and clamorous, pursuing the Proverbs of 9 and 13. Chiefly you Judite woman, all right, you so-called black woman, you're gonna yell at him the wrong way, and he gonna fucking kill your ass. But Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Let me get this back in the KJV. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast in the field which the Lord Yahweh Shai made. He said unto the woman, yea, hath the Lord said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? So the serpent more subtle than the field. All right, this is Esau. Before he was called Esau. It says, the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the trees which is in the midst of the garden, the Lord had said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For Yahweh Shai Shai doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, and your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, so, who's that woman? Israel. But also has it, going into like Eve, okay? Eve. You Jake women out there are always being fucking bewildered by them. All right, where did Esau? Let's put into the chat real quick. Let's put into the chat. Just going into the Willie Lynch letter. All right, who did the slave masters target in the Willie Lynch letter? Okay. If you haven't heard about the Willie Lynch letter, it's authored by a man named Willie Lynch, and it was basically a theology on how to break down slaves and get them to operate at the best means possible and keeping them low. Here, so it's young versus old, light skin versus dark skin, male versus female. Break the male, slave publicly. So slave publicly, and then the female, make her psychology dependent and fearful. So let's ask you to elaborate on the woman thing. Okay, so elaborate. Shut up. It says, break the black man in front of the woman. Right, the letter claims to first step to destroy the men's sense of power and protection, to humiliate the men. And what do you see now? What do you Jake women say all the time? Niggas ain't shit. Niggas ain't shit. Fuck bitches, get money. Right? It says beat, humiliate, or even kill male slaves in front of his women and children to make the women lose faith in the man's ability to protect the family. It says to force women into survival-based mindset. All right, so become fearful, become overly protective, focus on survival above everything. That's one thing a woman knows how to do, is fucking survive. Just learn to be dependent on the slave master and not the man. Dependent on Esau. It says, use women to raise children in a controlled way. She will teach her children to be submissive, cautious, and dependent. She will raise them with the mindset that benefits the slave system. All right, what did Jake, teach their family growing up in like the 70s, 80s, 90s? My father tells me about it. Your mother always tell you, don't be offending that white man now. All right, leave that white man alone. Don't be fucking with them white kids now. Leave them white men, white kids alone. All right. They put that fucking divide between the two, and they really, have Jake women, and even young Jake men growing up thinking that they're less than these devils, all right? And that's why you Jake women also grow up thinking that they're the best option for you, because you grew up thinking that they're fucking Superman. They're not. They're super wicked, all right? And I don't think we need to get anything more on that. Going back to the script, it says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and she gave also her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. Jumping down a little bit, says, verse 13, and the Lord, and this is Lord being a serpent, it says, the Lord Yahweh said unto the woman, Salakia. Hold up. Yeah, we'll start there. And the Lord Yahweh said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And that's what they even doing to this day. That woman being Israel, but also Eve, the daughters, right? The serpent beguiles you. They have you thinking that your whole purpose is to put away childbearing and start careers. Aisha Curry type bitches, right? They have you out here fucking, they have you wasted away thinking of, like, what your thought process and shit like that. You don't respect the man. And matter of fact, a lot of you Jake women, it's been a trend that y'all are starting to cling to Esau, to Edomite men. Right? It's a more common thing nowadays. And it says, and the Lord Yahweh said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all the cattle, and of every beast of the field, which is upon thy belly thou shalt go, and thy dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman. Enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed, and thou shalt bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise thy heel. That enmity between thee and the woman, between Esau, Edom, and Israel, between the wicked and the righteous. Okay, but yeah, you still try to fucking cross into those realms of clinging unto these Edomite men. Now you're gonna see the fucking shit that it bears. Look at this. Look at this. She got murdered by him, and he set himself on fire. That's madness. Right, but you Jake women still want to be out there with Esau, not knowing the type of seed he was. So Lord willing, I was edifying, showing you the type of motherfucker this devil is. Even then, that word motherfucker, bro, I'm pretty sure it loosely originates on how Esau used to make sons have to go into their mothers back in the time of slavery. I'm pretty sure that a part of the history of that word goes into that. This is a fucking devil. Esau's a devil, and you're not supposed to trust him. Fuck him. But hey, I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to lastly give honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua.